Work and Pensions Chair Stephen Timms.
On the budget, I welcome the additional funding for universal credit in the budget, but shouldn't some of that have been directed towards people who are not working? There's almost a quarter of people who claim universal credit are not required to look for work because of their health problems or because they're caring for young children. They all lost the £20 a week uplift. They're facing the big price rises that we know about. Shouldn't some of the help have been provided for them?
I understand completely, Mr. Timms, why you say that. But just to go back to what I was saying to Mel Stride, what we're trying to do now is encourage people into work, and so the situation at the moment is that we have actually in some places a serious labour shortage, and therefore the incentive should be to get people into better paid work, which is why I think the Chancellor was absolutely right to cut the taxes of the taper relief on universal credit so as to make work pay more for those on UC. Now, for those who are not in work on UC, I understand perfectly the point that you make, and they are people that we must look after in any event. But that for them, there are other interventions that we have, such as the £500 million for local councils, the energy price caps, the freezing of fuel duty, the winter homes, the winter fuel allowance, cold weather payments, and support for the cost of childcare. There are many. You and I have talked many times about people with no recourse to public funds. Yep. Even they have those types of support.
Do you agree, I think you will, but do you agree that Social Security should provide an adequate safety net for families?
Yes, I do, but I think the best, it's very important, of course I do, but the best thing for those families is to help one member at least of that family into work. Yes. And that's why I think what we were doing with universal credit was right.
But our committee has heard from parents, for example, who will have to skip meals in order to make sure that their children don't have to skip meals because of the £20 a week reduction. That shouldn't be happening, should it? Shouldn't the Social Security safety net avoid that from happening?
Yes, it does, but
my point is it doesn't. I mean, certainly the evidence to our committee is that parents are having to skip meals at the moment.
Well, we're doing everything we can to support people in those circumstances. With the £500 million household support fund, I think it was the £200 million holiday activity and food programme for families who are in particular hardship. And I know how hard it can be for some families, but we are putting money into supporting those families. I think that it's also important to stress the value of work as the way forward. Yeah,
the headline rate of benefit at the moment is the lowest it's been in real terms for over 30 years. In those 30 years, the economy has grown by more than half in real terms, and yet support for unemployed families hasn't gone up at all in that time. That doesn't seem right, does it?
Well, I'll have to study those figures. The welfare budget, as you know, because you're a great authority on this, the welfare budget is still extremely big.
Yeah. Well, let me just finally quote to you a statistic from that House of Commons library that says that if you compare the level of unemployment support today with average earnings, it's less than it was when Lloyd George introduced unemployment benefit 110 years ago. There's something, I think, that's going seriously wrong there. Can I just ask about one different...
Can I just repeat my point? We're in a situation now where there is a massive demand for labour, and we want to encourage people through the benefit system into work, and that's why it's structured in the way that it is.
But you want them to afford meals, though? The meals,
of course,
yeah.
And that's why we have the protections that we have.
A final point, if I may, about a different topic. In our meeting in July, you kindly undertook to look at the online safety bill that we've discussed already this afternoon, given that one of its key objectives is to tackle online fraud. I know you've had a letter today from Martin Lewis, Sir Richard Branson, Dawn French and others who've all appeared in online scam adverts, calling on you, as we were talked at the meeting in July, about regulating online scam advertising or regulating online advertising in the online safety bill. Have you been able to make any headway in looking at that point?
Thank you. I haven't seen the letter from the people that you mentioned. We're certainly very concerned about online scams or online ads of any kind, and I know that we're looking into this. I refer you to what we're doing in the online harms bill.
At the moment, the bill isn't proposed to regulate paid-for advertising. You made the point in July that you'd have a look at that.
Let me see what I can find out about that, Mr. Timms. As far as I understand it, at the moment, the view is that the bill can't deal with every ill caused by the internet, and it may be that that's one thing that it's failing to do, one of many things that it's failing to do. But I will get back to you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Timpson.